Hello there guys and girls. Today I've got a pretty different kind of tutorial for you. In the past I've pretty much covered all the basics and many advanced areas of machinima production and gave you all the tools that you need to produce your own short movies. Nonetheless, I was in the mood to make a big video workshop for you again, so I figured, why not share some of my personal go-to strategies for cinematic production? So during the making of some of my latest videos I wrote down stuff I did to make the scenes work. I'll let you in on a ton of secrets nobody else shares with you. May it be creative techniques, troubleshooting tips, time savers, or other lesser known methods. I will be talking a lot about task sequences, which are a powerful and precise tool to create complex scenes with multiple actors. There will be some overlaps to other tutorials I've made, but I will compress the information a lot more for this video, assuming that you already have a basic understanding of modding, video editing, and using trainers in machinima production. As always, you'll find the links to all the tools I use in the video description. I will try to cut down on the comedy side of things to keep this video short. Unfortunately, it will never be as short as your dick, mainly because dicks are measured in units of distance and videos are measured in units of time, so you can't really compare the two. It was just a creative play on words I did there. Ha ha ha. End of fun. So here we go. 33 machinima secrets nobody tells you about because they're too damn lazy. Combining animations. Sometimes viewers ask me what kind of animation I used in a particular scene, and I can't really answer it that easily. GTA 5 has a lot of anims, but sometimes the default ones won't suffice for what you're trying to do in a scene. However, by using different animation flags, you can combine animations for the lower body and the upper body into custom movements for characters. Here's how. In this example, you want the character to sit in a chair and check a weapon. First you have to think about the legs. Search for seat and find some basic sitting animation for a chair. You have to use the setting loop for the animation, which will apply it to the whole body on repeat. In the second step you change that flag to second task upper body only loop and pick this particular animation. Now you can see that the upper body plays the second animation while the legs keep playing the first animation. Since he has no weapon right now, I can right click the character, go to weapon options and give him a rifle. Another way of creating custom character movements is to use any animation with the second task upper body only loop flag again, and then go to the player options to apply a different movement style. Then you can control that character and walk around with an anim that was meant for standing. Collision on pads. If you disabled the collision for a character because you wanted to position it on a chair or other furniture and you forgot to put that character into your menu database, you cannot select it with the crosshairs of the spooner mode anymore. But you can still retrieve the pad. Just walk near it, open Scene Director and select Possess Near Aimed to take over that pad. Now you can enter the player options in menu and activate collision from there. Now you can select the entity again. If you don't use Scene Director, you can also use the Soul Switch gun in menu. Activate it and shoot the desired pad with the combat pistol to switch. Be careful though, because if you do not have Ignored by Everyone active in the player options, the other actors or characters in the scene may flee or fight you. In case you grab an object from the map and deactivate collision, there is no way to retrieve it. You can only delete it with the technique from the next tip. Clearing the area. When you reshoot certain scenes for a couple of times, you will most likely see a ton of tire tracks or bloodstains or bullet holes in the environment, which can break the immersion for your audience. It is wise to remove that stuff from take to take. Open up Simple Trainer and go to the options menu. Find the entry Clear Area over here. This will remove all kinds of traces and reset some broken props too, while removing others that have been moved, like these chairs. It will not work 100% of the time when transferring to Rockstar editor, unfortunately. Still, you can set the radius for this effect here, but the usual 100 is just right. But watch out! This feature will remove every object that is not saved in your menu database as well. By the way, Menyoo has the same feature under MISC options if we prefer it there, but this will also delete objects stored in your database, so it is wise to reduce the radius to a minimum. This feature also helps deleting objects that have no collision and are not in your database. If you want to reset the default props like the chairs and this gate, all you gotta do is to move far away from the scene with your player character, like this, and the props will come back. Task sequence start. Whenever you save a map in Menyoo that has task sequences in it, I recommend that you enter the object spooner and the desired map to disable this option right here. Start task sequences immediately means that once you load the map, all objects and pets will start doing their thing right away. However, more often than not, you just want to keep working on the map from an earlier session, or you need some more preparation time before actually recording some footage. Otherwise, stuff like this may happen. This is why you deactivate this feature every time. To start all tasks with a Menyoo map at once, you go to Edit Multiple Entities Simultaneously and select all the entries. Go back up one level and hit Start All Task Sequences or Stop All Task Sequences. It's basically the same as a movie director yelling Action and Cut. This gives you way more control. Create a template project. No matter what editing software you use to finish up your machinima, it is wise to create a template project to save a massive amount of time. It took me years to finally build up the motivation to invest 30 minutes to do this, and ever since, it saved me at least 10 minutes per project. What this means is that I created a new project in Premiere Pro and prepared all of these folders and sequences that I use in any project, as well as importing my standard assets like the intro, including intro music, the end card, info boxes, an adjustment layer, a black overlay and whatnot. Then I placed that project file in a template folder structure which roughly mirrors that in the Premiere project. That way, whenever I start a new video, be it a machinima or a channel update or whatever, I just create a new folder in my machinima drive and copy paste this whole folder structure over there. Then I rename the project and boom, done! Ready to import and edit footage. Building maps quicker. I don't really know if I said this before, but one way to build complex interior maps quicker is to use the command reset rotation within Menyoo. This way, any object that you will select snaps to the default axis of X, Y and Z, and therefore move along those in a straight fashion without any weird rotation. This is great because you can put up walls and furniture for interiors in a nice perpendicular fashion without spending too much time trying to rotate that stuff by 1/100th of a degree, because that will still look wonky in the end. It's like calculating with the weird imperial system compared to calculating with the glorious metric system. Pause tasks. Let's say you have two characters of the same pad, only with a different skin. These goons are a classic example. If you give them a task sequence to follow a certain route and start both tasks at the same time like I've shown you, they will walk in absolute synchronicity because they have the same movement style. So to make it look more natural, you add a pause task at the beginning of one of the character's sequences. You can change the order of tasks by pressing the left or right arrow key. Then you just set the pause task to 0.5 or 1 second and there will be a slight delay, as you can see here. Alternatively, you can change the movement style of one of the pads. However, check if they move at roughly the same speed if they should be walking together. Otherwise, one of them is gonna fall back. Change Vision Hax. I've told you about vision hacks before and how they drastically change the look and feel of GTA 5's world. Just apply one of these entries under MISC options, vision hacks. But did you know you can change these mid-recording for dramatic effects? Just start recording in default style and then go black and white. This effect will even transfer nicely into Rockstar editor, as you can see here. Smart! If you pick an effect first and then lower the intensity to 0, you can then start recording and raise the intensity slowly for smooth easing in of these effects. Let's say you have to show a sudden change in weather into extreme fog. You can determine the speed of the change yourself with this value. It's a really neat creative effect with almost no limits.
Multiple objects for effects.
For my video Apnoe, I did a waterboarding scene and needed water dropping from the canister as an effect. If you spawn an object and apply a task sequence called trigger effects, there is one effect called mop drip. This does in fact spawn water droplets, but only very few. Now if you copy it, you can see there's 2 instances of the water effect without having to apply the task sequence all over again. Rinse and repeat as long as you need. For instance, you can fake a working shower with this. Just set the opacity of all the objects to 0% so they don't ruin your shot. You can do this with any of the trigger effects.
Using Slo-Mo smartly.
Finding the right animations in GTA 5 isn't always easy. You have to work with what you got. For instance, this animation is from the movie premiere. But this little part here is great for someone covering their eyes. For instance, when a helicopter is landing. But that part is way too short to work for the intended purpose. Other animes may look comical because they're too fast at regular speed. That's why you should always keep in mind that you can slow down the footage in Rockstar Editor to an extreme degree without losing any frames per second. This way you can also slow down animes that only take a fraction of a second and stretch them to 2 or 3 seconds, which can be enough. With this technique you can give animations more dramatic weight and suspense, like I did here in Lucid Encounter with the guy stretching his arm forward for a handshake. Now using slow motion in Rockstar Editor means that the sound gets slowed too. But if you are serious about your machinima, you delete most of the in-game sounds anyway and replace them with your own regular speed as effects. That way you can create the illusion that the footage was never really slowed down. If you pair a slow-mo shot with regular speed shots, like in this example, it will be unnoticeable.
Fix Invincible Peds.
For some scenes you might have to kill one of the characters in your movie. It's always heartbreaking.
Pad lives matter.
Normally when you spawn a ped with Menyoo, they are easily killed, but what do you do if they just won't die for some reason? Here's the problem. If you have the invincibility activated within Menyoo's player options and then use scene director to switch to another actor, that actor will become invincible automatically because it is the new player. If you now use spooner mode to deactivate the invincibility, it still won't work. So what you have to do is to possess the character, open the player options, and in there activate and re-deactivate the invincibility. Repeat this step for all the characters that you want to kill.
And people say I'm a disgrace to society.
If the pet still won't die now, you should check the settings in other trainers you might have installed and see if there's more invincibility options there.
Revive Peds.
After killing a pet, you may not be satisfied about how that pet died, cinematically speaking. Maybe the bullet didn't hit them dead between the eyes, or the ragdoll physics looked wonky. Instead of respawning this character model via spooner mode and redoing the whole outfit for him, there's 2 options to retrieve a character or to circumvent the problem altogether. A. If you know you will kill a character, just create a bunch of copies beforehand and place them off screen for later use. B. You can use Menyoo's ped revival gun, which you can activate down here in the weapon options. If there's a dead character, you can then just use the stun gun and fire at him. They will be revived instantly and sometimes will start walking away. If they were in your actors list and scene director, you can even change back to that character. By the way, this trick also works for animals. If this was possible in real life, John Wick might have never gone on this massive rampage.
Hi, doggy.
But then we wouldn't have gotten 3 awesome biopic movies out of his misery.
Avoid face glitches.
When you use more than one multiplayer character model in a scene and have them inside your Menyoo database, the Rockstar editor will screw up your shots most likely, as you can see here from the outtakes of Lucid Encounter. This doesn't mean that you can't shoot videos with more than one MP model though. This glitch only happens to the character model that you are controlling as the player during recording. So if you want to avoid this, especially during dialogue, you should put down a 3rd character and possess that one instead. To control the dialogue options for the peds, you can go to the spooner mode ped options instead of the player options. In there you will find the same speech events and the face will not glitch once you switch over to the Rockstar editor.
This is better.
If you want the characters to do other things while both being in the shot, always try to use task sequences for that instead of controlling the character yourself. This glitch only happens with male and female MP models, so all other pads should be fine no matter which one you control.
Keep unused footage.
This is a tip that works with any editing software. My GTA 5 footage is divided into clips of 2 minutes each, but in there are multiple shots for the video. In the rough cut I divide each video file into its separate clips to then rearrange them into the movie. Ever so often you will have clips you don't feel really comfortable with in the flow of the scene. My advice is to not just delete those clips from the timeline, but rather to move them into an independent sequence called unused footage or something like that. Just dump all the excess stuff in there in case you might need it later on. It will make the search much quicker because you don't have to go through all the raw footage again. Also, it makes for nice bonus content.
Precise repetitions.
Sometimes you need to position characters very precisely. For instance, if you want to synchronize animations between them, or if they move away from their original position and you don't want to reset it manually every time. In such a case, you can use two helpful tasks called teleport and snap to rotation. Example, you have a task sequence with an animation where a character moves around. You have to set it to normal, which means it is only played once. The pad will remain where the animation ends. To avoid this, open the task sequence menu. Add teleport to position and aim the camera to where the character should start over. However, this will not fix the rotation of the character that may have happened during the animation. Especially inside buildings, even the slightest change in rotation can mess up the whole task sequence and make the characters bump into objects. So you add another task called snap to rotation. Make sure to deactivate the relative tick box and then change the Z value to fit the direction you need. You can always adjust this by the tiniest degree. If you test the final task sequence, you can see that you won't have to manually put the characters back after the animation is done. This way, you can also chain complex events together and repeat the process for multiple characters.
Better headshots.
If you need to kill multiple characters with some well-placed headshots, that can be difficult to do, because after firing the first shot, your enemies will start moving around, or you maybe want to play an animation where the enemies are moving, like I did in mnnuu with these 3 guys. A surefire way to get clean headshots is to just slow down the world speed. Enter Menyoo's time options and change the world speed to something like 0.2 or 0.1. Press F2 to activate the action replay mode. In this particular case, this gives you enough time to trigger the task sequences in Menyoo, wait until the enemies have reacted, and then shoot them in quick succession. You don't have to worry about your game not being able to capture all this slow-mo action, because the action replay mode will capture it all as if it were real time. So you just wait until the enemies have dropped and then wait another 10 seconds or even longer before you press F1 to capture the scene. Once you did that, you will see that the final clip isn't 50 seconds long, but it was only like 6 or so at regular world speed. But there you go, 3 clean headshots with enough time to aim.
Combine trainers.
Another way to achieve great creative effects is to combine the strengths of different trainers and exploit the fact that they can work together pretty well too. Let me show you an example of how to do this using Menyoo, Simple Trainer and Scene Director. Let's say that instead of having a dialogue where the characters face each other, you want them to sit next to each other and talk on a bench. You can still cut between the two in order to fake a dialogue in the edit, but you can also control both of them talking at the same time. Here's how. Spawn 2 characters and take both of them into your actor list in Scene Director. Pick any of the 2 actors to control. Now you go to Player Options, Speech Player, and pick any voice event here. If you press it, you can see that the character you control is talking. Close this menu by pressing the Menyoo hotkey F8. Now you can change to the other actor with Scene Director and open up Simple Trainer. In there, you go to Model Spawning, Voice menu to find a selection of all the voices. If you trigger a speech event, the character you control will talk once again. Now here's the deal, even though you control this character, Menyoo remembered the old player model. So you can start Menyoo where you left off and make the other character talk. By quickly opening and closing both speech menus at the right time, you can make it look like an actual dialogue. It takes a little bit of practice to not get confused with pressing all the hotkeys in the right order, but the result is great. If you are not able to switch between trainers as quickly, you can always slow down the world speed again.
Take your time.
One nasty part of machinima production is to position props in the hands of characters. Especially during animations with a lot of movement, it is really hard to see where the object goes on the X, Y and Z axis. In this example you can see a smoking animation, but there is no cigar in his hand. So you spawn a cigar, go to the attachment menu and attach it to that character. In this case you will have to choose one of the fingers for attachment. For instance, the index finger. As you can see now, the cigar is moving uncontrollably and the small object is hard to see. To make it easier to position, you go to the time options again and change the world speed to 0.1 or even 0.00. This will massively slow down the animation. You can go back to the cigar's attachment options and change the values until the cigar is placed correctly. If you think it's done, reset the speed to 1.0 and check if everything looks neat.
Keep multiple installs.
For this one I have to admit that I'm not entirely up to date, like not at all. I'm running on GTA 5 version 1.43, which was released in March 2018. I just hope this trick still works because a bunch of people have asked me about this in the comments. My advice is to keep at least 2 installs of GTA 5 on your computer if you have the room for it. This is useful in 2 scenarios. A, you want to switch between modded single player and a clean online experience. And B, you want to keep a backup of GTA 5 to reset it for future machinima. One version is in the actual install location. I'll call it the active directory. The other you keep in a different file path as a backup. Now when you want to make a machinima, you can use your modded version as active install. When you want to switch to online, it would be a hassle to manually uninstall all these mods not to get banned for anything you might have missed in the folder. So you just cut and paste the modded install into the inactive directory and swap it for the clean GTA 5 install, which you put into the active install directory. Rinse and repeat. Sure, copying these 80-ish gigabytes takes a few minutes, but it is still faster than manual mode, especially on an SSD. I like to keep a couple of folders of GTA 5, including a modded install with all the basic trainers and tools, but no additional textures, car mods or character mods. So instead of manually changing all these mods back to the default, I just take the basic modded folder and then I can start making a fresh machinima again.
Bring to self.
Whenever you use Menyoo's spooner mode, it can happen that during placement, an object or pad falls through the ground, goes behind walls or glitches into nirvana. This can be annoying, especially if you already added some complex task sequences and don't want to redo all of it. If your object is still in the database, you need to go to Quick Manual Placement and select the entry by name. Near the bottom of the list, you will find the command Bring Entity to Self, which will teleport your character to where your crosshairs are aiming. This is how to easily retrieve stuff if you don't know where it went. It won't get you back your dad though.
Stop bouncy peds.
A big problem when you have multiple characters in a scene is this little bumping motion they sometimes do. I don't know why this happens and it doesn't happen to all the characters in the game. It is not visible during recording, but very annoying during editing of camera angles. Luckily, there's an easy solution for this. The pads only bounce up and down when you do not currently control them or when they don't have an animation applied to them. So the easiest way to stop them from bouncing is to give them any animation that fits the scene, or to control that character as the player. As you can see in this comparison shot, the character I control and the one with an animation are not bouncing. Only the one being left alone does it. Ya bastard. By the way, the fourth character over there is set to frozen in place instead of dynamic, and as you can see, he still bounces, so this setting won't help.
Lighting scenes.
One thing I'm guilty of myself is that I don't work on the lighting of my scenes enough, even though that improves almost any shot massively. It is the most common mistake I see with beginner machinimakers. They just film outdoors at night and put that in the video, which is a bluish blackish mess, as you can see here in one of my early videos, Sneaky Snake. You can't see where the character ends and the background starts. Just placing one small stage light with the edit scene feature in Scene Director can make a huge difference. Be subtle about it if you want, by moving the light farther away from the character or object you're showing. Also, you should place the light in a way that it won't be visible in the shot later on. Filmmakers call this unmotivated light, because the light source isn't given by the location. Just look at the difference between these two shots and tell me it ain't worth to light your scenes. You can also use lamps and other light props by spawning them with Menyoo, which can be visible in the shot. You call this motivated light. David Fincher loves that shit.
Remove bullet trails.
GTA 5 has these bullet trail effects when firing any gun, and those really add up once you use any automatic rifle. It doesn't even look like real tracer rounds, but more like a dust trail, which makes no sense from a realism standpoint. Also, they tend to mess around with the depth of field, like many smoke or particle effects in the game, giving you these glitchy edges around the smoke. There is a small mod called No Bullet Traces. Installed it by replacing the file weapons.meta in the file location mods/update/update/rpf/comment/data/ai using open4. Before you do so, make sure to create a backup of that file in case something goes wrong. You wouldn't really need it though, because by placing it in the mods folder you are not overwriting any of the original files from the game. But better be safe than sorry. When you're back in GTA 5 you will see that you can't see those annoying bullet trails anymore. In the end though, it is a matter of personal taste. If you like them, keep them.
Stupid moon.
Whenever you have a shot that prominently features the moon, you will have to record, edit and export that very shot in the same sitting, without closing the game or exiting Rockstar editor in between. The reason for this is I don't fucking know whatever this asshole moon does there, but when I tried to record this shot for Lucid Encounter it drove me mad. Let's say you want to do a scene with the full moon in the background. You can use the time option of Menyoo to change the moon cycle to a full moon. Set the weather to clear or extra sunny in order to have no clouds in the sky. You will however notice that in Rockstar Editor there may be clouds appearing, covering your beautiful moon. Or the clouds you need have vanished, like in my example. That's why you gotta be rather quick in filming this and doing the camera angles. This is a comparison of a shot exported right away and one where I restarted the game in between. By the way, have you ever noticed that the moon is moving in the wrong direction in GTA 5? It should go from left to right, just like the sun. So if you want to shoot a moon time-lapse, you gotta reverse the footage later in your video editing software for extra realism. Or basic realism, I don't know.
Placing decorations quickly.
Recently I found that the kitchen furniture in MuzTube's ranch house had no collision when I loaded it with Menyoo. This sometimes happens with other in-game maps too. That makes it hard to place decorative objects on the counters, because you would have to spawn all the objects on the ground and manually move them up to the right height. Depending on how many objects you have, this can add up to a substantial amount of time. So what I did was to spawn sideboards which have roughly the same height. Just place them neatly anywhere you see fit and maybe place them a few clicks lower. And then you make those sideboards invisible. Now when you spawn an object, it will stay on the right height. Rinse and repeat.
Godlike Invincibility.
Let's say you want to show a supernatural character that is immune to all kinds of weaponry. The invincibility in Menyoo will not cut it, because your character is still prone to ragdolling from explosions, fire and punches. Simple Trainer has a nice alternative feature for this in the options menu. If you activate the God mode, you can blow up grenades and RPGs next to the character and he won't even flinch. And I think walking through flames looks really badass.
Spawning big fire.
Speaking of being super hot, this pro tip is from our friend MuzTube in the Machinima community, and it actually lets you spawn big flames as a prop to give your scenes some nice atmosphere. It is a little complicated though. To be able to spawn these props you have to go to this house right here and stand near it. It is by the golf course. You can see the exact location here on the minimap. Once you are there, you need to spawn one of the following objects. But you can't spawn them by searching in the object list, it will yield no result. Instead you have to go to the bottom of this list and select Input Model. Then you type out the full name. You can change the number at the end from 001 to 015 for any of the props. Some of them are actual flames, others are black smoke effects. Once you have spawned these objects there, you can teleport your character to where your filming location is. Now you open up the spooner mode again, go to quick manual placement, other properties, bring entity to self to teleport the fire to your location. You should watch out though, because this prop behaves like actual fire, so it will set tires ablaze and also kill characters that are not invincible. After bringing the fire to your movie set, you can easily copy and paste the flame and smoke objects. One more thing though. You can always see this black box from where this effect is spawned. You can either change the prop's opacity to 0% for the box to disappear and the fire to stay visible, or you just place the fire prop low enough so that the small box disappears into the ground. In order to save you the hassle of typing all these names from 1 to 15 out, I have uploaded a Menyoo map with all the props spawned, so you can easily just teleport them to your movie set. Just put the XML file into your folder Menyoo stuff, spooner. Teleport to the house's location and then load the placements. Shit's on fire, yo! The props 3, 13, 14 and 15 didn't work, so they are not in there. The same technique works with the fire from the O'Neill farmhouse, which actually looks even better. You will also find these in the download I just mentioned. If you like this service, slap like now.
Inflicting Wounds.
Continuity is important in any movie, so you should try and achieve it in your machinima too. When it comes to wounds your characters have from fights or car crashes, it is hard to replicate them in the next recording session by just fighting and crashing again, since they are pretty random. That is why Menyoo offers damage overlays under Player Options, Wardrobe. You can apply a variety of damage effects which will always look the same if you delete and apply them again. This way the scars will not look different from shot to shot. However, there is the problem that the character may heal over time and therefore the wounds will disappear slowly. It still takes at least 2 to 5 minutes, but you should be aware of it and check again before you start recording the footage. You can also easily delete the damage packs again. Some overlays for dirt and burns may not get deleted, which kinda sucks. To get rid of the stains anyway, you can reload the character if you have saved the outfit in Menyoo, which you should do for any major character in your movie. But that can mean that your task sequence for this character gets deleted. So just wait it out if in doubt.
Change props in enums.
Sometimes you wanna let your character throw something around. One option to do so is by using this particular synced animation in Scene Director. It's in the category Aggressive Interaction. As you can see, the character is holding a taco, and in the video we're only gonna use the animation from here. But let's say you want this to be a glass of whiskey. The exact prop name is up here in Menyoo, prop_drink_whiskey. Next up you have to go to the main game directory and open up the file Scene Director synced anim.xml. Search for the term steal and throw, which is the name of the animation. Here is a slot for the prop being used. prop_taco_01. By replacing this with your new prop's name, you can make the character throw something else. By the way, I'm using Notepad++ because of the neat highlighting. In the standard editor it looks like this. Yeah. Then you need to restart the game for the effects to take change. If you now load up this synced animation again, you can see how the prop has changed. As you can see in the XML document, if you search for prop, there are tons of animations that contain props which you can change to suit your machinima. Once again, my friend Serjio 1969 helped me with this trick.
Faster kills.
There are characters that are real bullet sponges, and sometimes even regular pedestrians can take a few pistol shots without dying. Which is realistic, but sometimes not wanted for a machinima scene. If you want to have a top tier squad clearing rooms, the enemies should drop quickly and not get back up like nothing happened. In this case, you go to Menyoo's weapon options and increase the weapon damage multiplier to like 2.5 or 10. This will guarantee one-shot kills from shots to the torso as well, not only from headshots. That additional damage also counts for melee weapons and fist fights, by the way, which can make for great displays of superhuman strength of your character.
Don't fear reshoots.
I know that setting up scenes, doing task sequences, camera edits and exporting is very time consuming, but you do want your video to be great and not just okay, do you? So do not be afraid to reshoot scenes if you notice mistakes, or if you feel that you need another shot to connect two other shots. It's not like in real life where any reshoot costs you thousands of monies. Just boot up GTA 5 again and load up your Menyoo maps. In these cases I like to just put in a placeholder text into my raw edit, just like this. As you can see, I noticed I needed another shot to make the scene work. I can then write that down and go back to GTA 5 with a list of all the things I want to reshoot. This method allows for a lot of flexibility because I don't have to worry about drawing a storyboard first. I just create all the shots that I have in my head anyway and then see if it needs more. It's a very dynamic way of working which I recommend you to try.
Be patient.
A big mistake that many starting creators make is to be impatient and hitting the button to stop the recording way too early, which can be annoying and problematic in the editor and in post-production. So when using the standard recording mode, wait 3 seconds before you start your scene, including all task sequences and other action. And once all the scene is done, you count another 3 Mississippis before you end the clip. Do the same when capturing using the action replay mode. There are good reasons to do this. A. If you have complex lighting in a scene, it will take a few frames for it to all load when you render a clip, as seen here. If you wait the 3 seconds before starting your actual scene, you can cut that part away without having to trim important moments. B. When you're in Rockstar Editor applying camera pans with Smooth Blend, you will always need enough room at the start and end of a clip for the camera pan to speed up or fade out. Otherwise you may encounter the problem of this camera speed up bug I have told you about before, because you can't move that speed up far enough back with additional markers. C. When you have exported your footage and want to edit it to fit the beat of a nice soundtrack, you don't have to worry about stretching out a shot until you can cut to the next kick drum, because you have enough footage on both ends to move it around. D. The last good reason to wait 3 seconds is because it lets you use blends in post-production. Let's say you want to cross-dissolve 2 clips and you didn't leave enough room at the end. In this case the cross-dissolve starts when there are still important things happening in the scene, or you may have to shorten the duration of the cross-dissolve. But if it is too fast, it may look bad. In any case, it cannot hurt to be patient during the recording stage of your machinima.
Deactivate Smartphone.
Sometimes when you load up a save game in GTA 5, you will get phone calls from story characters which can harshly interrupt your machinima recording session. I've had it happen to me and it annoyed the flippin' heck out of me. Go to Menyoo's MISC options and scroll to the bottom of that list. By deactivating the smartphone altogether, you avoid all these problems, just like in real life. That's about it for the tutorial. I hope you didn't count if it was really 33 secrets or if I accidentally skipped a few numbers. Why 33 anyway? These listicle videos are stupid. Maybe I'll do another 33 if this video goes well. If you have any tips and tricks of your own that I didn't mention and that you want to share with the community, please post them in the comment section to help other machinimakers to become machinimasters. Or you just ask a question and get help. If you enjoyed this, please recommend my channel to your friends and to random strangers on the internet to help me hit the 10k in 2020. Come to think of it, I know why most YouTubers do this at the start of the video, because nobody watches the video till the end. Well, except for the hyper nerds. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. Whanowa. Oh.